So let's roll this all back and see how it would have done it the other way. There's one way to do it. And again, I apologize, this is supposed to be a dimensioning video, and got a little segued, but that's okay. So what am I going to do now? I'm going to split this thing in half and see if I can mirror it, and it'll probably patch those faces just fine. The S key is going to bring up those shortcut menus, and we're going to mirror this over. When you do mirroring, you can use this face to mirror it. The reason I'm not going to, it's sort of a bad habit, because this face could be consumed. If you roll it back and do something and that face disappears, your mirror will fail. So I'm going to use the right plane instead. And like I said, it did patch those. So we'll go ahead and leave this whole mess here suppressed as an alternate way of doing it. Oops, except for the mirror. And so I'm gonna upload this video to this file to GrabCAD in case you want to follow along. In fact, what I'll do is I will put up a pop-up box at the start of the video mentioning that, so you can get it from GrabCAD before you start. So then what we're gonna do, we're gonna put some heatsink fins in here. So we're gonna go ahead and sketch on. I'm gonna do it on the front plane. That's normally what I would do. I wouldn't do it again. If you pick a face and the face goes away, your sketch fails. It doesn't know what to attach itself to. So it's acceptable to pick here. To each his own. So we're going to go ahead and put fins in this thing, cooling fins. And so we'll go ahead and make a slot here. And we'll pattern that down in a minute. Oh, that's awfully small. So now, as you work in Solidworks, what you're going to find is there's reasons sometimes to or not to pick certain things. So if I know I'm going to do something to the front of this later, this might not be the best place to pick. If I were to pick this and then pick this here, you'll notice that the dimension is back at the middle, but it's picked on that face. If I was to roll back and this edge disappears, not the face, edge. If the edge disappears for some reason, this dimension doesn't know what it's attached to. I can actually attach it to that one, this one back here. I could have actually I can show the sketch, the original sketch, and I can actually attach this dimension to that sketch right there. So there's a number of different options. You'll work with stuff for a while, and then you'll decide whether it's worth it or not. If you're hurrying through something and it's not, I do a lot of contract work and they're one-time jobs. So my goal is to save that person as much money as possible. So I haul ass through the project, get it done for them, and I never talk to them again. Then I have other projects. I have a project that I've been doing for a Department of Defense partner, and it's been about a 3-year project. And those drawings that I generate and the models I generate for that customer, I'm much more careful with for 2 reasons. One, they're held to a much higher standard, and then number 2, I'm in and out of those drawings a lot, and if they're not robust, it costs me time down the road. But if you're going to do something and it's a one-time deal, one-time customer, and you're out, then you can pretty much dimension to wherever you want to. You can just slam it out, get it out for the guy, and be done. So we'll get back to the normal. Is that long enough? And we'll make that first one. Whoa. Too much. We're going to pick through both directions. And then we're going to pattern that down. And I'm just going to pick the edge there to pattern it. And we're going to go... No, I didn't want the 4 in there. Oops, I need to double that. How about one more? Will it fit? It's a little thin. Yeah, that's a little thin. So we're going to go back real quick. And I'm just going to put some reference geometry in here so I can pick a line later. So we'll just go at an ever slight angle. About 5 degrees. So here's one of those things where I wouldn't attach this other end to anything, leave it dangling, and just give you trouble later. So I'm going to use that line to control that pattern now. Instead of that vertical pick, the edge, I'm going to go back and show this sketch, and I'm going to use this line instead. It's going to push that over. And then the nice thing is I can keep adjusting it. So I can go to 10, and that looks like it gives me enough meat. And so then what we're going to do is we're going to come in here and round these edges. Filleting sometimes fails. There's quite a bit of time where when you mirror fillets, they'll fail. So we'll see if these will fillet or mirror over to the other side. They may not, or they may. And we're gonna go 0.02. Is that too big? Yeah, let's go 0.01. And I wanted to put some machining marks in this thing, so we'll work off the top plane. And we're going to go ahead and do something that looks like that. And you don't have to be a stickler for using round numbers. I like nice round numbers. Not, you know, when you're doing product design, it may or may not make sense. What do I want here? Pick that edge. And then we need a distance off of the end, or I'm actually going to set this to center. It'll be easier to pattern that way. So then we're gonna go through everything, through all. Hey, look at that. It's a new Solidworks thing I haven't used. And we're gonna copy that. We're gonna pattern that both directions. So let's do yeah, we'll see what that looks like. Make sure when you what do I got there for? One. Boy, I wish they had both directions for this. Make sure that you unselect, that you put pattern seed only, because otherwise what it tries to do, I forget how it works. If you're going in a straight line, if you go in two different directions, it gives you 4 times 4, it gives you 16 copies. If you're going in one direction, I think there's basically 4 overlapping copies. So the reason they put pattern seed is it only patterns the first instance, I believe. So you end up with 2 rows shaped like an L if you pick 2 different directions. And it saves on computing power, because patterning in SolidWorks is terrible. So we're going to accept that, and then we're going to mirror the whole thing over. So right plane should be, and we're also going to mirror this and this and this. Doesn't like it. How about that one too? Still doesn't like it. Let's see what it will pattern, or what it will mirror. So we'll try to do just the pattern and the fillet. Oh. And we'll remove the fillet and see if that'll do it. So I'm going to guess that what I was talking about earlier is correct. It's not going to pattern the fillets. It doesn't. Oops. It doesn't like that. So we're going to go back in and try to catch that other pattern. And we're going to move that fillet down below the mirror. Yeah, that's great. Actually, you know what we're going to do? I don't want to have to select all those lines. We're going to remove this pattern out of here. And we're actually we're going to move this mirror above that. The reason that I'm doing this, I don't want to have to select all these lines to fillet them. It's just a bunch of work. So I'm going to pattern just this section over. And right plane, this and this. Now I'm going to do my filleting. Hey, didn't want all of them though. Actually, that's not a bad choice. Do I want everything rounded? Yeah, that's actually not terrible. And then we're going to go down here and do this patterning, and we'll mirror that. I think I can maybe just do the mirror. Or the pattern, excuse me. Did you get the middle one? Yeah. So here's our fake Picatinny rail. And we're going to go ahead and put in some attachment points. We'll do 2. So we'll go ahead and put in a counter bore. Put in a close fit, and too big. 3/8 is going to be too big. Vertical. So we'll go back and we'll do probably number 10 maybe. Hole clearance, do I want to do a hole clearance? Yeah. That looks more like it. Go back there, dimension it off the end. And again, you'll notice when I dimension off the end, or for those of you who are just learning, it picked this top point. So I'll give you an example of what can happen. So there that is. I should actually go back and make sure that was through all and not blind, which it likes to set it to. Okay, it's through all. Good stuff. So if I roll this back, and let's say I make a cut on this face. So let's go to the right plane and we'll do a cut. Normal 2. Let's say I cut this off and make it look like did I get it all? No. That's gonna fail. Oops. And I'm going to go ahead and whack the end of this off so it looks something like that. And then I roll this back down. Now it's broken. And if you go in here and find out that your sketch was attached here and it's no good, had I attached it to the origin, or had I made a plane, or had I foreseen I was going to trim this face up, I obviously could have prevented that. So, but I didn't know I was going to do some complicated, slice like that. And actually, that looks pretty sweet, so I'm going to leave that. So we'll fix that. I'm going to actually go back in and edit this sketch, because I like the way that looks. And except I'm going to we'll make it a little more complicated. Yeah. I'm going to add a pierce constraint. I'm going to set this first one at 20 and set this between them at 120. Sharpen it up a little bit. And then I'm going to, what am I going to do? don't want that to tangentially propagate, and I'm going to make that much bigger. Nope, I'm not going to do that. Undo. And what am I going to do? I'm going to dub that edge off. I just know if I don't do this here, it won't catch that last little bit there. I'm going to mirror that over. No, I'm not. Yeah, I am. Oops. Yeah. And I'm actually going to delete that and just mirror it. Sometimes it's really hard to pick that point. Solidworks just is not seeing it. There it is right there. Sometimes if you turn it, it sees it, or sometimes you have to regenerate and go in and out of the sketch for it to recognize what you're trying to pick. And just all the little quirks of SolidWorks. So the reason I made that a whole line is I'm going to cut, and I just want to remove the end there. And so I'm just going to pick, okay, kill it. Alright, I like it. And now we're going to mirror a bunch of that crap over to the other end. And we're going to fix this sketch. And we'll see if I can reattach it. Hey, look at that. Reattached. So what I did there is I just it doesn't work. Hopefully they'll get it fixed down the road. It does not work for radial or diametric dimensions that I can figure out. But I just dragged that point and plopped it back on that line. When you do that, if it's still not 3/4, it'll update the dimensions. So you need to go back in here and ensure that this is 3/4 of an inch. Because if it was off 1/1000th, it's going to change your dimension. And if you're foolish enough to have rounding set, you won't know that it's moved. So you'll want to make sure. So now we're going to mirror over what we can. So we'll go ahead and just try to mirror everything, and we'll see what it will mirror and what it won't mirror. Again, it may fail on that on that fillet. I will see. So let's get rid of the fillet. Yeah, so I'm going to roll the fillet down to the end, past the mirror, since in this case it's just 2 picks, and I'll go ahead and pick the other one here. And so here's our Picatinny rail. We'll go ahead and change the material to aluminum. We'll go 6061, and we'll change the color to, you know, dark gray or something. And because I'm running this in a virtual machine, I can't use my real graphics, even though I have a card that works. So I think we'll stop there, and I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. And if you got any questions, post them in the comment section. Thanks.